Hi,
Hey Rachel,
JJ.
what's up? How
Uh,
you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good.
With this movie, you're no stranger to working in movies, but this is, correct me if I'm wrong, your first outing as a director. And so, what was that kind of like for you as someone who's been in stunts and acting and all of these other elements of filmmaking for so long to kind of take on the lens, so to speak?
Sure, because I've been a second unit director for 20 plus years. So I don't know if you know what second unit directors do, but we direct all the
Yeah.
action in the big action movies.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a pleasure. It felt very natural to do it. The hardest part I think was probably getting the opportunity to do it. You think 32 years in the business and it took that long to get an opportunity to do it. I'm super grateful because I never thought I'd have any of this good fortune. My whole ambition was to just become a stuntman and not have to go back in the Army when I got out. And here we are talking about a movie I just directed. So I'm super grateful for that. And I think the second thing that was a bit daunting for me was the comedy, because when you're doing an action comedy horror, and these are the movies I grew up with, like Big Trouble in Little China, Lost
Hmm.
Boys, Evil Dead, etc. Those are the elements are there. Action, comedy, horror in no particular order, but you have to have command of those three ingredients to keep the upper hand on the audience. So that was my biggest worry is like, because I think I'm funny, but I don't know if anyone else thinks I'm funny. But as soon as we cast Jamie Foxx, I, I exhaled. I was like, thank you, Jesus, this is going to happen. And then as soon as we did a read through with Dave Franco, I knew we were hitting on I knew we were sitting on I knew we were sitting on a home run. I knew we were going to hit a home run. So, for me, it was a real pleasure just to kind of watch it all happen, to be a part of it, to inspire them. I feel like, the cast I had was amazing. And a lot of times as a director, having done 150 plus features and over 300 episodes of TV and being paired with a lot of first and second time directors as a second unit director to protect them in the action. A lot of times the director, you're going to lead, sometimes you're going to follow, and sometimes you're just going to stay out of the way and let them do their job, create an opportunity for them to succeed. So I feel like that was something that came with my experience after so many years in the business, just being comfortable with my abilities and also knowing the abilities of the people I had. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, of course. And it's funny you mentioned Evil Dead, and I have a Army of Darkness painting like
I
next
doubled
to
him
my bed.
before. I doubled
Uh,
Bruce Campbell before. The
oh,
chin.
one of my favorite franchises, and this movie did remind me a lot of Army of Darkness in the way that it would be very funny, but then you would genuinely be scared at times. I did watch it late at night, but like I'd be like, no, 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 I'm good with this part. But like it's genuinely funny too. And one of my favorite parts about this, because it plays into this like larger vampire lore, like Dave Franco makes a Twilight joke, kind of insinuating that like vampire franchises exist in a world in which vampires are there. And so like those little moments, was it just kind of you all having fun on set, or was it like, did you have thoughts of like people are going to analyze this and know we made a Twilight joke in a vampire movie and now connect it to every other vampire franchise?
So I I would let the cameras roll, and every first thing we would do it, by the book, by the script. We get the script shot, like this is what we're being paid to do. Now let's run with it a little bit. I would keep it rolling for, I'd put a fresh card in the camera and we would just let it roll and let them riff until it started falling apart. And then I would go again. When you're directing action, you have to force the action, you have to push it. But when you're directing comedy, from what I've learned, is you have to let it happen. You have to encourage it to happen. You have to create an opportunity for it to happen and not rush that. And I worked with a director called Paul Feig on a movie called Spy. And I don't usually do comedies. I do these crazy action movies. Some of them turn out to be comedies on accident, but Spy was a movie that I really paid attention to on how he was directing the action, because I figured at some point maybe I will get a chance or not. I didn't know, but I wanted to watch. I consider him to be a really good comic director, comedian, and as a director. I'm a big fan of his, and I just watched what he did, and he had a whole row of post-it notes like an accordion with alts, and he encouraged them. So that I just followed suit on that. And when Dave and Jamie get together, pretty much all you have to do is say action and cut. Like you throw an idea here or there, but they take the ball and they run, 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 run.
And it's very interesting with comedy. I studied comedy, and so like I like to hear when people are like, "Oh yeah, we just let them improvise and see like how it kind of works versus like what is actually written down in the script and what happens in the final cut." But with a movie like this, like you said, you have two comedy powerhouses leading it, and then you have very kind of sad and darker storylines. Because I interviewed Carla earlier, and I had said to her, "This storyline is just very sad. Like she's the villain, but it is sad because it's her
Yeah.
daughter got killed." And so, like when you're directing that, and there are kind of like it is three different genres, but it does have different tones to it as well, depending on what character you're looking at.
Sure.
What are your approaches as a director to kind of like making it all so cohesive? Because it works really well, but they are very different in tone sometimes.
Agreed. Like initially, I always thought the movie was about a man trying to save his family who works as a pool cleaner and augments his income by hunting vampires. And it's about a vampire that's seeking revenge for the murder of her daughter. Like she didn't do anything wrong. She's a vampire. She's supposed to eat people. Like
Mhm.
that's what she does. She's just doing her thing. So that was what the movie was always about to me. And creating that, when I got the script, I was getting a bunch of scripts back then. I was doing a lot of second unit. And when I read Day Shift, I would start pacing around my house. I knew I had to make this movie. I knew I wanted to direct this movie for sure. It wasn't about a sniper with PTSD because I was in the army, I was getting a lot of that. Or JJ, do a John Wick movie. I was like, well, I already did John Wick movies with Chad. When I got this one, it was like the worlds that hide in plain sight, the hunter's world and the vampire's world, and all of the interesting characters that go with that. So yeah, that's how I layered it up, and that's the way I always saw it.
Yeah, and it's very fun too. Like obviously, I like the John Wick movies. I think they're very fun. I think action movies are very fun, but this has like such a different element where I was like, this could be bad or it could be very good. And it was very like I was like, oh, this is good. I'm having a fun time watching vampires fight Jamie Foxx. But uh for you said you got a lot of scripts. Is it just you go with your gut when you're looking at what scripts to work on, or is it you are searching for the next thing that is kind of like what you want to do? Like how do you navigate what you put out there?
So again, I was just super happy kind of directing second unit and stunt coordinating because I was making a ton of dough and I was going all over the world with my friends, smashing shit up and making a ton of money and getting on a plane and doing it all over again. I was having a great time. Directing a movie at 55 for me was 54 was taking a step backwards financially. So I knew
Mhm.
that if I read something, it had to speak to me for me to step out of the line I was in that took me 32 years to get there, to step out of that line and to get into this line. I knew I had to know it, I had to love it, and I had to own it. And the moment I read that script, I knew right away. I was like, okay, action, comedy, horror. It was a much smaller script when I read it. We worked on it for a year. Tyler Tyson and I worked on it for a year, over a year before we gave it to Chad and Netflix. But we just put big action teeth on it. We made the characters more familiar to me. Like Bud Jablonski has a 9-year-old girl. I have a 9-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
And my wife is an attorney. She's the Mike Tyson of arguers, Megan Good, Mike Tyson of arguers. Be careful. And Snoop Dogg is a homage to my platoon sergeant. Like somebody I served with in the army. So, yeah, that's how I chose Day Shift because it spoke to me. And because I don't have another experience to draw from. I'm reading a lot of scripts right now, but in the next time that I do a movie, maybe we'll have this conversation again. You ask me again, I'll tell you what motivated me again.
And for a final question, what do you hope people take away when they get to see Day Shift?
Say again.
When people get to see Day Shift, what do you hope they take away from it?
Uh, I hope they have as much fun watching as we had making it because it was a real hoot. We played music between setups. It was a great fun set and I had a great time. And I hope everyone has as much fun watching it. I'm not trying to there's no agenda in Day Shift. I'm not trying to give you a message. Just want you to watch and enjoy. The world's a dark place right now. You can put on the news and it's a double feature of monkeypox and COVID. And then there's another double feature of Taiwan and China and Russia and Ukraine. I just want them to laugh and jump in their seats and say ooh and ah. That's what I want them to take away from
And I think they will. I think it's very fun. It
it. You liked it,
ranks up
yeah?
there with some of the fun. Yeah, I liked it a lot. Like I said, it
Okay,
ranks
cool,
up
dude.
there
I'm
with like
so
the
stoked.
Evil Dead of movies I can just put on and be like, this is fun. I'm gonna watch it.
You just
Uh
made my day that you mentioned my movie in the same breath as Evil Dead. You just made my
very fun. I can't wait for everyone to get to see it. Thank you so much for talking with me.
day. Thank you.